I want to go first. Ladies go before gentlemen.
Ask your question, please.
Okay. Could you, Mayor DeBlasio, Karen Koslowitz, thank you for coming here. Could you please get rid of the bail reform? Many people are being beaten, slashed, and hurt by criminals being released. They said they'd only release people that are non-violent, but they're releasing people who are very, very violent. The other day, a Japanese tourist was slashed, and the man who slashed him had slashed someone, a deli worker, and he had pummeled a woman in his apartment building. And people are being slashed and hurt by criminals. Many violent criminals are being released, and New York City is becoming crime city. Could you please get rid of bail reform to make our city safer, please?
Thank you. Chief, come on up and we'll get you a microphone. Look, you said several things. I respect your question. I'm going to answer it in a very honest fashion. But the last thing you said, I'm going to let someone who knows more than me about the topic come up here. Because I want to be very honest with everything. There are people in this city, not you. There are people and organizations in this city that are trying to tell you New York City is not safe, that are trying to tell you we are declining and we're going back to the 70s. Listen. If you believe that, God bless you. Then that means you're not interested in the facts. Here is the chief of patrol for the finest police force on earth. Okay? So, you can believe certain voices if you want to. You can believe that propaganda if you want to. Or, I'm going to let Chief Pichardo, before I answer the bail reform question, I want Chief Pichardo to tell you the status of safety in New York City.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. This police department, as many of you know in this room and across the 5 boroughs, we are a resilient police department. We see change, we deal with change, we've been planning for this. Trust me, the dedicated men and women of the New York City Police Department will not stop at fighting crime. So rest assured, and the Commission has spoken this on numerous occasions, we're grateful that our folks up in Albany have come to the table and we voiced our concerns and we're working together. And together, I'm sure that the work that the men and women of the NYPD have done for 25 years, the last decade, the last few years, will continue to prove worthy and crime will continue to go down. So the NYPD is here for you. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. We have adapted to change for the past 20 years. This will be no different, and we'll continue to work vigorously to address any and all concerns so that you continue to feel safe in this city.
And the other way of saying that, and this, I'm going to answer your question. Don't worry, I heard everything you said. The other way of saying it, which is to say, and anytime anyone is a victim of crime, that matters. Every single crime matters, and we have to deal with every single crime. But we still have to remember this is the safest big city in America because of what these guys do.
Can I say one thing? They are wonderful, wonderful. But the judges are not, if a judge feels that someone is a danger to society, regardless of the new bail reform, if a judge feels that that person is a danger to society, I don't think that person should be released. I think a bank robber shouldn't have to rob 5 banks before they decide, I don't agree with felony, I don't agree with misdemeanor. I believe if you knock a woman's 2 teeth out, you slash someone, you throw a kid to the floor, that person should go to jail. Forget bail reform. Bail reform is not working.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Listen, I'm going to speak to, of course I understand. You and I agree on some of this, and we disagree on some of this, I'm going to talk about it. But I need to start with the beginning and say, a lot of people are whipping up fear. I'm not saying your question is not valid. I'm saying honestly. Guys, how many people lived here 25 years ago? Okay. If anyone wants to tell me that what we're living today has the slightest resemblance to then, I will have that debate with you all day long. Okay? So we are not going back. It is not all coming back. And again, I'll come to you, but listen. Anyone who believes it's all coming back, I'm going to say this really plainly. If you believe it's all coming back, then you do not understand the NYPD. You do not understand the LAPD. It's as simple as that. So, to your question, I think the Chief of Patrol just said in front of all of you the work that is being done to ensure the safety of the city. So I would ask for some respect for what they have achieved and the fact they continue to achieve it. To your question, there is a good part of bail reform, unquestionably, and there's a part that I think needs to be addressed. The good part is we did have lots of people going to jail for minor offenses who were kept behind bars because they could not afford a modest amount of bail. That was inhumane, that was not helping them become better people, that was costing you and me a lot of money. It was wrong. The bail reform as an idea was the right thing to do. What I've said very, very publicly, and Commissioner Shea has said the same thing, is we think some revisions are needed. And those are the conversations we're having right now with the leadership in Albany. We've had a series of very productive conversations. There's different ideas on how to do it, but a recognition that we don't want unintended consequences. Something good happened. I believe that, and Commissioner Shea believes that. The legislature, to their credit, addressed a long-standing mistake. We think there's some other issues that need to be addressed to try and get it to work for the long term. And I am hopeful that we're going to get that done in just the next few months. I also have to tell you, and again, the Chief and everyone else can tell you this history, do not for a moment think that the only time people were arrested for something and then left in the street was since the bail reform. Something like 85% of people who've been arrested for crimes historically have gotten out by paying their bail. So I don't want it to be painted in this kind of caricature. There is a real issue that needs to be addressed. I've said it very publicly, and we will. But this is not like someone flicked a switch and everything changed in New York City overnight. This is something we have to address, and we have between now and June in this legislative session. Again, I believe it will be addressed.
Thank you.
Going around, we're gonna come around, everybody. So he took the point from him. No, well.
No, you can.
You want to share your info so we can get back to you?
Thank you for coming.
Do you mind if I just write your name on here? Will you do it?
I've been a New Yorker for about 35 years and a resident of this area for most of that time. And I've never doubted that I would remain so until the last couple of years. And I feel that my tenure as a New Yorker and the city as well is in financial jeopardy. And I felt the circumstances started a couple of years ago when you announced what I saw as a regressive tax, but you called adjusting pricing on the East River bridges. And then you proposed these jails in the city, one of which I will see from my home lighting up the night sky almost like a beacon of incarceration, that are not only unnecessary for numerous reasons, but particularly for fiscal ones. And also I feel troubled that they're adding to
But you get time, I'm sorry, I asked everyone to stay on one thing.
Okay.
Give me your one thing.
This is all financial.
What's your one thing, though?
Financial, that one, and then added to that, the fact that the property taxes are still unfairly
Okay. You
distributed.
gotta tell me your one thing. I'm gonna respond to everyone on one issue. So what's your one issue?
Well, they're all related to
You gotta just tell me what you want in response.
financing issues.
If you want property tax, I'll give you, I'll talk about property tax. Is that what you'd like me to talk about?
Any finance, okay?
Our budget, I'll talk to you about our
Dealing
budget.
with all of these things, the jail, the bridges,
Right.
and the property taxes are all.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to you about our fiscal situation. Look, I understand the concern, and anyone who raises it's a valid concern. Where are we going in the future? So right now, thank God, and a lot of people in this room have been a part of it, the city is in the strongest shape it has been in terms of our economy, pretty much in our lifetimes. We've added 500,000 new jobs in the last 6 years. The city's fiscal condition, our bonds have been upgraded. That's something that would have been unimaginable in the past. We have the highest reserves we have had in our history. So each of the issues you raise is different, but I'm going to pull out the common thread. Are we going to be fiscally safe? Are we going to be a fiscally strong city going forward? I'm absolutely convinced we are. We are going to have, I believe, the property tax reform proposal that our commission has put out is going to lead to action in the next 18 months that really will improve the system, but it will not reduce the city's revenue. And I believe the other pieces that you're talking about are going to be accounted for in our budget. And most importantly, look, I'm someone who didn't agree with congestion pricing for years. From Brooklyn, I had a lot of problems with it. It constantly was improved upon as a plan. Governor Cuomo and I actually got to a point of agreeing, which is not every day. But we got to a point of agreeing on a plan because the most crucial thing to the future of the city was a long-term funding source for the MTA, and we have it, and it's much improved compared to the plans from the past. But it also means the MTA will be more fiscally stable than it would have been. So I want to affirm, and the bond rating agencies that are, they don't report to me, the bond rating agencies are saying the same thing. We're in the strongest fiscal shape we have been in decades. One per person.
Thank you for coming. My question will be about the diversity plan for District 28. I'm a granddaughter of Holocaust survivors from one side and of Jews that were expelled from Northern African countries from another side. And I'm an immigrant. Live here, love it here, moved here to be part of a Jewish community, which I am. The names of the working groups for the diversity plan have been released, and there is still no Jewish representation in the working groups in this community, which is largely Jewish. And I have to wonder why. I need your help in having this solved, because there are 3 Department of Education employees on the list, 3 out of 20 people, but not one Jewish representation.
Yes.
I feel like I'm living 40 years ago,
No,
50 years ago.
We will fix. I'm glad you raised it. Thank you. Thank you. And first of all, your family has been through a lot, and I appreciate that you are a part of what is now a thriving Jewish community here, which I think is the ultimate answer to all the oppression and all the subjugation that the community has put through other places that today in New York City, the city on earth with the largest Jewish community of any city, this is a true statement, within the city limits, New York City is the largest Jewish community of any city on earth. And it is a thriving community, and it's one I respect and we're going to protect. So of course there needs to be representation, and that is something that will be changed, I guarantee it. In fact, when that list was put out today, it was with a message to the community and to elected officials that additional members will be added. So please, I'll have our folks from the Department of Education follow up with you tonight. We'd love your ideas on who should be added, but we've also asked each of the elected officials who should be added. That process will go on throughout this calendar year. So it'll go all the way to the end of the year, thinking about the different options. What does the community want? What do people think would work? We want an open discussion. For anything like this to be meaningful and be effective, it has to be done with the community and with the Community Education Council. This is not something you force on people. It has to be something that comes out of an organic process. That happened in a number of other districts. People got there through a careful process. That's what we need to have here, and everyone must be represented. Go ahead.